John was an ordinary man, living an extraordinarily difficult life. Bills, debts, hunger, and disappointment had become his daily routine. He worked hard, but life always stayed one step ahead of him, laughing, pushing him down, tightening its grip. One night, frustrated and exhausted, he wandered through the old part of the city, a place people avoided after dark. The street led him to a strange, glowing marketplace. Small crooked shops, flickering lanterns, whispers floating in the air. The place felt alive, yet unnaturally silent. At the end of the lane stood a shop with a dusty sign. "Why anything?" John hesitated and then stepped inside. Behind the counter sat a tall, thin man with pale skin and strange glowing eyes. He didn't ask John who he was. He simply said, "Everyone has something to sell. What about you?" John sighed. "I have nothing." The man smiled slowly. "Oh, but you do. Your shadow. I'll buy that." John froze. "Shadow? Why would anyone buy a shadow?" The shopkeeper replied softly, "Because shadows are more valuable than you think." Before John fully understood, the man placed a dark sheet of paper before him. "Sign this. I give you wealth. You give me your shadow." Simple. Something inside John screamed, "Run," but desperation is louder than fear. He signed. The shopkeeper whispered a few strange words. John felt the ground beneath him shiver. And then, his shadow slowly peeled itself off the floor and slid into the dark paper like ink dripping into water. The shopkeeper handed John a heavy bag of money. A pleasure doing business. The next morning, John's life transformed. A new house, new clothes, a car he had only dreamed of. People invited him, respected him, admired him. For the first time in years, he felt alive. But then things changed. At a restaurant, the waiter looked straight at him and walked past as if John wasn't there. His friends stared at him and acted like they were seeing a stranger. One day, he looked into a mirror. His face was there, but the wall behind him was empty. No shadow. His existence was slowly fading. Within a week, he felt lighter, transparent, like he was floating instead of walking. People spoke to each other through him, never to him. He wasn't invisible. He was forgettable, like a page being erased word by word. John whispered, "My shadow, I need it back." He ran back to the strange market. But now the shops were abandoned, dusty, silent. The sign, "Buy anything," was gone. Just when he thought all hope was lost, he noticed something moving at the end of the street. A figure on the ground, stretching, shifting, a shadow walking without a body. John sprinted toward it. When he got close, the shadow turned. It was his shadow, standing upright like a person, its smoky edges swaying like it was breathing. John cried, "Come back to me! I can't live without you!" The shadow tilted its head and smiled. A soundless, terrifying smile. Then it spoke, with John's own voice but darker. "I served you my whole life. Now I'm free. And freedom is something I will never return from." The shadow stepped aside, revealing another man behind it. A real man. A man who could see the shadow, talk to it, and walk with it like a companion. The shadow chose him. And as John reached out desperately, his fingers turned to smoke, his body faded, and he disappeared into the cold night air, leaving no trace behind except the absence of a shadow. If you enjoyed this story, tell me in the comments. If you became rich instantly, what would you risk losing? Check the video description for new vocabulary words and watch the story again to practice your English listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories.